Okay guys, just wanted to quickly show you what I'm taking into the day one. So I'm going to be playing on a hunter, and my role is basically going to be team support, but just in general I'll give you an idea of what we're taking in. So my team, we're doing 4 warlocks and 2 hunters, and I'm one of the 2 hunters, and basically my job is going to be debuff extension, tractor cannoning whenever it comes to those encounters. So I'm probably going to stick on Void Hunter most of the time. It's basically just a Falcon build with Unforgiven, or any Void weapon will work. This is what I'm going to be taking in, I think. This is what I'm going to be taking in first. Because just commemoration to shred the ads, same thing with Unforgiven, and conditional finality for any mages. I may swap this to Aga's Scepter, we'll see. I just want to have like some sort of special ammo available during these first encounters. So in terms of the build, it's just like your classic Falcon using Mobius Quiver. You can sub this out for Deadfall if you want to, but I'm just keeping it on Mobius because most of my ad clear is going to come from my abilities instead of the super, so in my opinion it doesn't really matter. But fragments, we have Undermining for the weakened grenades, Obscurity for Invis, just when you're in a pinch, it's nice to have this, and for the stat boost as well because my recovery is pitiful. And then we have Cessation for the Void Breaches, which will make us have Devour when we pick them up. Aspects, Vanishing Step and Star's Executioner. May swap to Trapper's Ambush if we feel like we need to invis ourselves in like the first encounter, or like Bridge, maybe. But at the moment we're thinking we don't really need this because we're just going to be able to kill everything. That's the current thinking anyway. And that's the same for all of these Void builds here. So basically, this is the first Void build. You want to prioritize Resilience, of course, and then if you're on a hunter and you're running Falcon, you're going to want to spam dodges a lot, so you need high mobility as possible. You could go for higher recovery if you want. I've sacrificed the recovery just for high mobility to sort of keep the Devour uptime, which if you're getting kills, which there'll be a lot of in Abyss at least, you should be able to keep this up. And I'm sure the ad density is going to be pretty big in all the other encounters as well, so I don't think this is a big deal. You can get your discipline up as well if you want, to get your grenades up faster, but main thing is resilience and mobility for a Void Hunter. So this is the first build with Falcon, and then the second one I have here, which I'd recommend you guys to have, is a damage loadout. This contains Starry to Scales, Surges, Time Dilations, Dexterities, Radiant Light, Powerful Friends, all the works, because you have to try and maximize your damage while playing the support role, and Star Raters will help you do that. A Feast of Light Mobius Quiver does anywhere between like 350,000 to like 400,000 damage, which is like even more than a Nova Bomb. So I'll be able to make up the damage that way. And then here we have a Aeon's loadout. I don't think I'll be swapping to this loadout too often because we'll have our Warlocks with Cenotaph making most of the ammo for us. But I just have this on just in case. Make sure you have Sective Insight on, and not any of the other ones. It has to be this one. This is the correct mod. This is only one that I'd swap to, and on this loadout I made sure to put on... oh, actually I don't have it on here. I need to have Proximity Ward on when you're doing a finisher. Just to be safe. Just to be safe. And then what do we have here? We have the Malfeasance loadout. So this is like a final stand, last ditch thing once all of the ammo is gone. This is what I'll swap to, and once I've emptied my Malfeasance ammo, I'll make a quick swap to Knucklehead Radar and Touch of Malice, which should hopefully get the job done, should the boss still be alive at that point, but it's just nice to have this just in case. I think, yeah, just general exotics to have, guys. We gonna want Knucklehead, obviously, for that final stand part, and then we may test Celestial Nighthawk on the Oversoul to see if it one-shots it like it does in Destiny 1, but for the moment we're not sure, but I just have this just in case. Assassin's Cowl, I'll talk about that in a second. Make sure you guys have a reserves piece as well, for your, that you can just easily swap to rally to. Obviously Starry to Scales, Stompies for a like traversal section, but to be honest I don't think there's going to be that many traversal sections, except maybe from after Abyss is finished onto the bridge one. I just have these just to make things a bit faster, because if you're going for a placement, you're going to need something. The time, seconds matter, minutes, seconds, they really matter. So nice to have this. Strand, grapple, jump height, all good. And then I have another build on Hunter, which is the Arc other side. So this is something that you could run if you wanted, but we think that it's a bit too risky to run Arc Hunter. I know some other people have like recommended Arc Hunter, but honestly, it's as good as it may be, even in like high level content, it is quite risky to run this, because even if you mess up like one combo, if you like come out of invis and you don't kill an ad, instantly they all look at you and you take a shit ton of damage, and you could just be dead on the spot there. So you have to play this. If you want to do this, you have to know it really well and play it really well. I have this just in case if the Abyss encounter is a breeze on the first run through, and when we come back on challenge mode, I feel like if I'm going to provide more value on Arc Hunter, I'll swap when we're running the challenge mode. But I think I'm going to stick to Void like on the way in. But just to show you the aspects and fragments here, this is all quite self-explanatory. You've probably all seen this before. Flow state, lethal current. You don't want Tempest Strike. It's just bad. And you want resistance, obviously, because it feeds into the build nicely. You're going to be close quarters to enemies a lot, so just having that damage resistance is nice. Spark of Ions to become Ionic Traces to get your grenade back faster. Spark of Shock to get Jolt on your grenade, so the AoE is better. And then you have Spark of Amplitude. Spark of Amplitude is very important because it basically makes the Arc Hunter a orb printer. Every time you get double kills, you make an orb. Every time you get melee kills with heavy-handed, you make an orb. And then when you make special finishers, you make tons of special. So basically the role of the Arc Hunter in the team is to make loads of orbs and loads of special. So that's what you'll be doing if you choose to play Arc Hunter. Obviously you have Gathering Storm as well, one of the best like single target like damage supers in the game. And then just similar to these loadouts here, I have a Star Eater loadout for this with surges and dexterities, targetings, time dilations, you name it. And then another Lucky Pants, and then another Aeons, just covering all the bases. And the thing to note here, guys, is that when you're making these loadouts, you should pull blue weapons from your collections, like these blue auto rifles here and like these blue swords. And what you can do is you can save your loadouts with those weapons on, delete those blue weapons, and then your loadouts are saved without weapons. I would recommend doing this for all of your loadouts, because then when you're swapping weapons, when you're changing strategies, it means that your loadouts like keep the armor and the fragments, and like the weapons won't mess up any of your like changes. So it's nice to have this. What else have we got here? Artifact. So artifact, we want Monochromatic Maestro. This is quite important. It's literally like free ability damage and free weapon damage just for playing the game. This is like a background thing. You won't even think about it. The TWAB just came out and they said that elemental munitions is going to be disabled, so you do not want to run this. It will have no effect in the raid. So you're going to want either Monochromatic Maestro and Rapid Fire Ranger, or Elemental Embrace and Monochromatic Maestro. Elemental Embrace is really good on Arc Hunters because you're going to be amplified all the time, which means that you'll have 50% DR basically all the time. You do not want Frenzied Stacks. This takes away your armor charge quite a lot. And it's a terrible, terrible choice because your armor charge will just be gone before you know it. Then everything else is kind of just up to you. Overload machine guns. If you saw Salter Greppo's video, he said that this is quite good. Yes, because the overload effects, I think, intrinsically makes it so enemies deal 25% less damage to you if you overload them. So this is good for maybe the bridge encounter when you're across and you have to deal with ogres coming at you if you're using a machine gun for ad clear. So keep this in mind. Elemental orbs, just match the ones to your subclass. These aren't really important. You're not going to be using these a lot. You may want Elemental Fury. I think you will actually, because they'll probably be barrier and unstoppable champions. So anything that makes them more vulnerable to damage is quite useful. And then you have Diviner's Discount. This is the best mod on the artifact this season. You want this for your scavenger mods, the discounted scavenger mods. And also Unstop Fusion. This is a must because there'll probably be unstops, and this is probably your best bet to stun them with. Unless you have like suspend grenades and so on and so on. That's the artifact. In terms of much else, I'm not really sure. We can go over weapons quickly. But But these are all kind of self-explanatory. You want Arbalist, Fancy Barrier, Conditional Finality if you have it for high health targets. Having a Riptide is nice for like unstops. Osseous Rigor is just an all-round like really good primary ad clearing machine. And then you have Heritage. Heritage is classic. Reconstruction, Recom. Doesn't have to be enhanced. Then energy weapons. Sunshot is, I think everyone should bring Sunshot in because Sunshot is fantastic for ad clear. And then if you're like me, if you're the tractor role and you're running something like, let's say you've got Heritage on and tractor cannon here, you need something to complement your damage. So, and if you know me, you know that I'm good with tractor cannon, and this is the new best fusion rifle to pair with it. I did some testing earlier, and this is the winner in DPS and total damage. So if you can get yourself an Eremite with Envious Assassin Control Burst, Envious Assassin doesn't really matter, but as long as you have Controlled Burst and like Ionized Battery for the big mag size, this is perfect. You'll do a lot of damage as the support player. If you're the Galahorn player, this is another great consistent option. So basically, if you're support for your team, you want this weapon. You do want this weapon. Then, of course, you want Forbearance as well for the ad clear, just a classic. Slug Shotgun, maybe. Sniper, I think, is worth having because there's a likelihood that the Crota boss fight is going to be at range. We don't really know, of course, but if it's a ranged battle, you need a sniper for that. If you're doing something like swap rotations, it's nice to have Divinity if you're support as well, but our team's probably not going to use this, but we just have it just in case. And then for heavy weapons, have Lament just in case. This is kind of a sleeper tip, but you should have a Xenophage, because the biggest thing when it comes to day one, guys, is consistent damage. And if your team, especially on Ear because she's a wizard model, right? She's really thin. If your team doesn't have a div or your team is bad at aiming rockets, you're probably better off with a gun that does solid damage, okay DPS, but that is actually able to hit the target. Thing is, when it comes to Ear our team may end up switching to Xenophage just because of how consistent it is, because that's what really matters in a day one. We may still do rockets. We'll have to see. We'll have to judge like how much movement she has. But if she moves a lot, it's really nice to have something like a Xenophage. Obviously with Crota, you're probably still going to use rockets because he's such a big model. But for EU, you really need to be careful. And then obviously we have machine gun for ad clear. I have retrofit as well, just in case like the Crota damage phase is like, or the EU damage phase is able to be extended with some sort of new mechanic. If it can go past 30 seconds, like if it can be like a minute plus damage phase, it's nice to have something with like really good total damage, which retrofit is like really good at. And then obviously Eager Edge Sword for movement, Galahorn in case I need to swap, and then yeah, Lament just in case. I think that should be everything. I don't think I missed anything. Maybe you can call out in chat if I've missed anything. Leviathan's Breath? Maybe. I mean, you can take Leviathan's Breath if you really want to, but I think these weapons cover most of the bases. Touch of Malice, nice to have for Final Stand. It's the best like primary DPS in the game if you really run out of everything. But yeah, I think that's it. I guess I could just quickly go over mods. Like, I'll have all the dim links in the description, guys, so you can go and look at the builds for like the specific mods. But I guess just for the main like Void one, I'll just quickly show the mods here. I like to run a weapon surge here just to match, just because like primaries will feel extra weak in underlight content, so it's nice to have a little 10% boost. Powerful Attraction is really nice. Get your orbs together, and you're gonna want these two mods here: Heavy Ammo Finder and Heavy Ammo Scout. Because of the double special changes, heavy ammo is a lot more hard to come by these days, so you'll basically want to have a nice way of making them. And I'll just quickly show the mods for the Arc build, but I'll have these linked in the description, so don't worry guys, you can copy these if you want. But yeah, I think that should be it. In terms of like, just to show you what I'll run for each encounter, for first it will probably be this. For bridge, it will probably be the same, and once we get to Ear and Crota, I'm going to switch things up, and actually I think I need to bring in here we go, Fatebringer, because then I can still use a primary weapon, keep my Eremite for damage, and this is when I start to go on Tractor Cannon. This is the loadout that I'll probably stay on for Ear and Crota, and yeah, because this is my job. I'm the tractor bitch. But yeah, that should be everything, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on my Discord or anything like that. And yeah, I wish you guys luck. I wish you guys luck with the day one. It's literally the best time to be a Destiny player, so enjoy it. Go get your Necrochasm. Yeah,